Welcome to the Quilted Word Class. I'm Jo Westfoot from the Crafty Nomad. We are going to give people just a few minutes to come on and join us live. And whilst we're waiting, why don't you tell us where in the world you are joining from? You're also going to want to grab a pen and a piece of paper so you can make notes whilst we go through this evening's topics. Whilst we are waiting for everybody to join us, I want to really introduce myself and also take a moment to introduce you to Tracy, who is my helper here at the Crafty Nomad live sessions. So Tracy, if you want to go ahead and just really introduce myself and also take a moment to introduce you. Bear with me just a minute. Got some technical issues just there. But yeah, and this is Tracy, and she is here helping me tonight with all the technical things. We normally do this on Zoom, so doing this on YouTube tonight is a bit of a first for us. We had some fun playing around and testing this out in the week. Clearly, I didn't get the memo with that bit just there. We're all good now. So Tracy, thank you very much. Tracy is going to get links, put them in the chat for you. She's going to be moderating the chat and basically keeping an eye on things and switching cameras over, that kind of thing. Tracy comes along to all of my live sessions that we run on Zoom for any of the courses and classes I run that have live elements to them. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Tracy. That was great. Okay, so when you come to see the recorded videos of me teaching, it's my hands and my voice that you will hear in those videos. And so before we get stuck into the class itself, I just want to go ahead and tell you a little bit about myself and about what happens here. And we're going to be going through kind of how to access the classes and taking any questions that you might have. I am recording the session, so if you can't stay for the whole thing, don't worry, you will be able to catch up later on when it's been popped into the portal. Okay, so there are heaps and heaps of new people here. I've got another monitor down here that's got all the comments that are whizzing through at a very fast pace. So hopefully Tracy is going to keep an eye on that for me. But yes, I am a British patchwork and quilting teacher and also a pattern designer. I live in a little village in the south of England. And I am English, if you hadn't realised that by now. I have lived in other countries, though, hence my business name, The Crafty Nomad. In fact, it was actually when we were living in Australia that I learnt to quilt. Now, I've been sewing since my teens, and I've been quilting for about 14 or 15 years, I think. So for a little while. I used to teach in-person classes full-time, but then during the pandemic, like many people, I moved all of my classes and my teaching online. And haven't looked back really, because I found it to be a really effective way of teaching people. People are more relaxed when they're at home. They don't have to worry about forgetting things, and they don't have to worry about going slower than all the other participants in the room, or indeed going faster and, wanting to keep going. So those things, really aren't an issue when you're learning online. I'd imagine that many of you have already taken online classes, and so you're more than familiar with the benefits to learning online. Now, all of my online teaching classes is done via pre-recorded video lessons, which really is fantastic because it means that you can pause and replay them, as often as you like, and you can go at a pace that suits you. Now, some of my courses, like the Quilt Hive membership and also the free motion quilting course for beginners, and Thread Matters, they've got live sessions that accompany them. So they run over a period of time, and we have kind of like sessions where we go through any questions, a little bit like we're going to be doing for this class on Sunday evening. Okay. Now, there are always plenty of chances to ask questions, both, you know, in those live sessions, if they have live sessions, or even if they don't and they're a self-study course. Under every single video lesson in any of my courses, there is a question box where you can ask a question of, you know, the detail that was covered in that particular lesson, and I will answer that for you. There also, you may find that it's already been your question answered, you know, by somebody else. So there's all the questions that are in there for everybody to see. I'm going to show you that in a little while when we take a look at this course. Okay, in fact, I'm actually just going to ask Tracy if you wouldn't mind popping a link into the chat box that will have details of all the courses. That would be really helpful. Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, and then I also run standalone courses, or kind of courses that don't have those they don't have those live sessions, and I refer to those as self-study courses. And for those, there are a few on there, such as the Glitter Ball Block of the Month program, foundation paper piecing, etc., etc. So they're all on there as well. And then the next class I'm going to be teaching, probably next month, is going to be the Sunset at Sea, which you can just see above me, just up there. And it's what I taught on the cruise last month. So that is another fun thing that I offer. And actually, I think Tracy's going to pop the wait list into the chat box for us as well. Now I'm just going to drink of water. Okay. So when I wrote and recorded the Quilted Words class, which you are all here for tonight, I wanted it to be similar to the Quilt Hive classes, so that you can see what it's like to be a member of the Quilt Hive membership. And because, of course, I would love it if you would all join. Now, I think we've actually got some of our current members here on the call tonight. So maybe they can tell you what it's like to be a member. Or perhaps you might have taken one of my other courses and you can tell people what it was like and what you got out of it. And that would be great. I'm sure people would love to know that. I think Tracy's going to pop a quick link into the chat box about the Quilt Hive membership, and it's got a special discount code on there for you. So you can have a look at that after the call if you're interested in it. But what we all want to get to is the detail for this course here, which is the Quilted Words course, which I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to take you through how to access all the lessons. But before we do that, I just want to check to see if there are any questions that have come up so far in the chat box. Tracy, have we got any questions so far?
No questions just yet, Jo.
No questions?
Lots of hellos, lots of far and wide hellos, which is really lovely to see.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Great. Okay, so no questions yet. That's great. If you do think of a question, please type it into the question box to let us know. It can be really helpful if you are going to type in a question, just to write the word question in capitals at the beginning of the comment, just so that Tracy can spot it really easily. Okay, so during the next 3 days, you are going to be able to access the pre-recorded video lessons and also download the accompanying notes. And I'm just going to show you that now. So every class that I run has what I refer to as a workbook to go along with it. And it's really so that you have got a reference to what you are learning on the course. So a quick reference so that you don't have to log back in and look at everything every time you want to go back and do that particular technique or that project. So having the ability to have that printed off at home is really helpful. And obviously for some of them, and this one particularly, there will be templates that you will need. So you will find those within the workbook. So I'll show you that in a while when we go into the portal to have a look. Now, as I said, the all of the tuition is via pre-recorded video lessons, and they are broken down into bite-sized chunks. So you can do a little bit at a time to fit it in with your daily schedule. The videos range from 2 minutes to 9 minutes, and in total, they're about an hour and a half to work through. They do have English subtitles, and obviously I speak English. I don't have other subtitles in different languages available, I'm afraid, and I'll talk more about that at the end. Now, do let me know in the comment box if you have or haven't yet ventured into the portal to watch the welcome video. It's going to be really helpful to me to know tonight just how many people have actually managed to do that just yet. So I'll wait and see the responses that come into it. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to do that in a moment. But earlier today, I received a couple of emails from people who were struggling to get into the portal. And when I troubleshooted it and kind of went through it with them, it was because there was no name entered into their record. And so the system was having a moment and it was struggling to let them in. So it was asking them to complete their registration form. But when they tried to fill the registration form in, it froze halfway through. So I've managed, I can obviously get them in, so that's all fine. They're now in, but I noticed there were quite a few other people that didn't have names in their records. So I've gone through and I've manually entered a name. It might be a bit of a random name in there for some people, but I've entered a name just so that you shouldn't have issues logging in. But if you do have issues, please just drop me an email and I will sort that out for you. Okay, so it's not an issue. I can get you in. Please don't sit there and be frustrated about it. It's an easy thing for me to resolve to get you in. Okay, Tracy, have we got any responses to that yet?
We're having lots of, yes, I've watched it, which is very good, lots and lots. And
Brilliant.
we've also had Helen put a comment in about Quilt Hive.
Oh, lovely. What did Helen say?
Helen said, Quilt Hive, joining was one of my best decisions. Not only Jo's teaching and generous sharing of her knowledge, but having ongoing access to the resources is fantastic, and ability to go back when needed.
Perfect. Brilliant. Yeah. We do love a good testimonial.
We do love a good testimonial.
Actually, yeah, on that note, actually, for all of the courses, if you are interested in taking a course, you're not sure if it's for you, the best thing to do, having read the sales page, is to scroll all the way to the end and read what people who have taken the course say about it, because the testimonials are always at the end, and you can then get an idea of whether you think it's going to suit you or not based on what other people have said. So that's always a good thing. So thanks for that reminder, Tracy.
Yes, I've got Miriam here who's saying she thought this was the welcome video. So you might just want to clarify before we go into the portal.
Good point, Miriam. Good point. So yes, so tonight is the welcome live session where we can go through any questions. I'm going to show you kind of how to get in and look at the classes. But there was kind of like a really short video in the portal just to sort of welcome you once you'd signed up, just to sort of remind you about downloading the key information sheet that was in there as well. So there was just a few kind of bits that were kind of in there before we actually started the class properly, which is what's happening right now. So yeah, great, thanks. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go over to the portal. This is always the bit where I worry about whether I'm choosing the right thing to share. And luckily I have. Okay, so this is the Sewing School portal. So if you were having to navigate to this without having to click on one of the links in emails, which obviously you've all got, you would go to sewingschool.thecraftynomad.co.uk. And that would take you here. You would then click sign in just here. And I'm going to just sign in as my test account. So I would just literally pop in the login details and go through. And once I've done that, it looks a little bit different. We've got a few extra headings along the top here. Now, the one that we're interested in is my courses. So I'm going to click on that. takes me to a page at the very top. It says, are you a member of Quilt Hive? This is just a shortcut for Quilt Hive members to get through to the Quilt Hive portal, but we don't want to see that. We want to scroll down to the Quilted Words class. Now, you might notice there are 2 here for me, and that's because my test account is also a member of the Quilt Hive membership. And my Quilt Hive members have got a slightly different version of this course in the portal for them, and it's the blue one, because it includes the bonuses. For anyone doing the free course, you are interested in this pink one, and it's probably going to be the only one in your My Courses area if you are brand new to the Crafty Nomad. So it won't take you too long to find a tool. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it will open up the curriculum area, so the curriculum page. Now, this is probably best viewed, on a large device such as a computer or a laptop. I know some people successfully watch on iPads, tablets, that kind of thing, but watching on your phone is probably going to be really small and you're not going to get the best experience. So the bigger kind of device you can watch on, the better experience you are going to have, obviously. Now, the best browser, should have mentioned this at the beginning, the best browser to view on is Chrome. So the platform responds best in Chrome, but other people have successfully used Safari and other things like Firefox as well. But if you are having problems, then one of the things that we would suggest straight away is to try viewing it through Chrome to see if that resolves your issues. Okay. So let's have a look at the curriculum. So you can see it's broken down into sections. So we've got the welcome section. You've all had access to this already before today. And that's where that welcome video that I was talking about earlier was in. The key information document, the details on these live sessions, how to join our community. So that's our Facebook group. And I'm going to be talking about that in a little bit after this. And then just some more information about if you're new here, if you want to know more about Quilt Hive, you can have a look at those. And then this is the bit we've been waiting for, which has just gone live at 7 o'clock. You'll get an email in about 13 minutes, I think, that will tell you that you can access it. And it's broken down into 3 sections. The first one is how to sew quilted words, the preparation. The second one is sewing the word outline. And then the third one is sewing the pebbles infill design. So it naturally broke down into 3 areas. And if we just click on this one just here, the class introduction and supplies explanation, we'll click on that and it will say it's loading. It'll just take a little while to come up. And then you'll find in each lesson, there will be perhaps a little bit of text at the top, maybe some links if it's appropriate to have those in there. And then you'll scroll down and find the video. Now, obviously, you would need to press play to get that to start. And then there's just a few other things here which you may or may not be already familiar with. If you want the full screen, you can make it full screen. To reduce it, just press that button again and it comes back down. Closed caption subtitles are available, so you can press that. And as I said, they're just in English, I'm afraid, because otherwise it would cost me a lot more to get the transcription done. And for a free class, obviously, I cannot justify that. So they're in English and you can turn those on or off. And then the other thing that you may be interested in is speed. Now, I've been told that I talk a little bit slowly when I'm teaching. And for some people, they love that. And for some people, they don't. So 1.25 is normally quite a good speed to listen to on, apparently. So I won't be offended because I'm not going to be in the room with you. So you can watch at whatever speed you want. There is a transcript available as well if you need that. So that's what one of those looks like. And as I mentioned, underneath you will find a question box and it looks like this. It says write something. And so that's where you would write your question to me. Now on this one, there haven't been any questions because it hasn't gone live until just now. So there's nothing else. But on previous ones where there might be comments in there already, there'll be a little box that says show more. And if you click the show more button, you'll be able to see all the other questions that have been asked about that video up until that point. So you can see if your question has been asked and you'll also see the answers. Okay, so until you press the show more button, it won't show you any of the answers. So don't think I'm being rude and not answering the question. You just need to press the show more button and then all the answers will come up. So that's kind of what one of those looks like. And then there's also the Quilted Words workbook. So if there is one with a download, so there's a couple in here with a download, and you can either print it off, which you'll need to do for this one because it's got the template in it. So you obviously just press that, save it to somewhere on your computer, print it off. I've also got a viewable one down here. So if you don't want to print all the pages, you can just go ahead and read it on your device. Now there's a couple of ways to navigate around here. You can either press the button at the bottom, so there's markers complete and move on, or you can navigate using the menu on the left. Okay, let me just double check and make sure I haven't forgotten to say anything. Right, those question boxes that I referred to that are underneath the videos, if you want to just going to go back a second. If you want to have the answers emailed to you instead of having to log back in, and check to see if there's an answer there, you can switch on notifications by clicking on this profile picture in the top right hand corner and go to my account. It'll just take a moment, and you're going to go to the notifications bit, and you just need to make sure that you've got this top one here toggled on so it's blue, and that way when I answer your question you will get an email to say your question has been answered. Okay, so that's how we keep in communication with each other. So let me know in the comments box if there are any questions on that as well. We'll come to those as and when they come in, that's fine. And whilst we're waiting to see if there's any questions on that, I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek into what a quilt hive looks like. So I'm going to take the shortcut into the quilt hive area just by clicking up here. And this is what the members only area looks like. And basically they have got access to all of these classes. So these classes generally range from 45 minutes to an hour and a half in length. Very similar setup to the one that you're going to be taking this weekend. There aren't any time limits on how often they can view these classes whilst they're a member. So whilst they're a paying member, they can view them as many times as they like. We do find that people go back to this one over and over again, the beautiful binding one. Really helpful to help people get those lovely mitered corners perfect every time. So you can see there's a lovely selection of different technique classes that are in there that you can, as a new member, you can work through, at your own pace, just picking out a class as and when you want to do it. Basically, some of them are sort of matched and sort of paired up, so there might be, like this one is a trio of 3 with the organic shapes leading to making this funky forest, and then to the trapunto. So you can see some of them are kind of in groups and others are just standalone courses and classes, but they're really fun. And there's a new one added each month, and we will just be having the next one going in, I think is going to be on applique. We've got 2 months coming up on different types of applique. So yeah, so all different types of things. We've even got a book club. So lots of fun things available in there. Okay, I am just going to pause and just see if we have any questions at the moment.
Okay, so while we're paused, Jo, I've got another testimonial come through from someone who I know who is a new member to Quilt Hive. And she says, Quilt Hive fan here too, exclamation mark. I'm still new and love being able to dip in and dip out for specifics or just idly browse. Jo has included a library which is invaluable even for basic sewing machine maintenance, exclamation mark.
Oh, that's
cool. Really
cool.
Interesting, isn't it? Lots of people love that it's not just a pattern or it's not just one thing, is it? Quilt Hive's really a mixture of lots of different things we use in our
it's
sewing room.
That's a really good point, actually. I mean, largely it's technique classes. So the classes are, based around a technique, but in order to demonstrate the technique, there is often a pattern sort of attached to that technique that people can either choose to use or not to do that technique. So yeah, it is going to mix, but definitely the focus is on the techniques. Yeah, so that's really good to hear. Thank you. No more questions yet come through. No, all good.
Not
Okay.
at the moment. I've re-entered the discount code for Quilt Hive because someone had missed it. So
Oh,
if you
lovely.
did
Thank you
miss
so
it, it's
much.
there now.
That's great. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and swap the share. Let me see. I'm going to go across to the Facebook group. Oh, it's worked. Has that worked? Can you see that, Tracy?
Yep, all good.
Okay. So after this live, you're going to be able to go and watch those videos at a time that's convenient to you over this weekend, well, actually the next 3 days, and then you can make your quilted word. Now, we would absolutely love to see the pictures of either, a finished quilted word or your practice pieces or even your item if you're super fast. And I would love it if you would post that to our Facebook group, or if you're not on Facebook, you can share it to the community, which is in the portal. But if you're on Facebook, this is the place to go. So it is the Quilt Along with the Crafty Nomad Facebook group. Tracy's going to pop a link into the chat box for you to have a look at, so you can come and directly and join that if you haven't already joined it yet. But I'm giving you a little bit of encouragement to post your pictures, because it can be quite difficult and for some people to share pictures of their makes. Some people find it really easy and they love sharing their makes, and others find it harder to do that. And I'm all for encouraging you to share your makes, because I think not only do you get something out of it, because you get positive reinforcement from lots of other lovely people that are in our group, but you will also be encouraging other people to be brave and to share their work as well. And so I've got some prizes up for grabs. So we've got 3 prizes up for grabs. And actually, I might make it 4 prizes up for grabs from our sponsors. We've got Purple Stitches, which is a lovely shop in the UK, and they are offering a £30 voucher for their shop. We've also got Morris Textiles, who are in the US, and they are offering up a $50 voucher. And Morris Textiles is actually run by Lisa, who is a Brit, but she lives in America. And her shop specializes in kind of all things British to do with fabrics. So if you love Liberty Fabrics, you're going to love that shop. But she also has lots of other British brands in there as well. So that's the second prize. And then I'm going to be sponsoring 2 prizes. One will be a goodie bag of cards and pins, as in enamel pins and things like that. And the other one will be PDF patterns from my shop. So those are going to be picked at random from people who are brave and share their picture in the Quilt Along with the Crafty Nomad Facebook group. I do have 2 Facebook groups, so make sure to pick the right one. This is the one that you'll be able to get into straight away. And you can see here that some of our Quilt Hive members have been busy already. Now, they get access to an extra video lesson on how to draft their own word templates. So you'll see that some of them in here have used different words to what the one is that we are going to be using in the class, which is the word so. We can see, I think this is Julie's, but my computer's working really slow. Here you go. This is Julie's, and she's working on one that says smile, which is gorgeous. I just love that one. And then Jo has managed to do her word saying the word focus, because she believes that she needs to focus more. So we were chuckling about that in the other group that I've got going for this. And so she's done an amazing job of getting that finished for tonight. So that's looking great. And I think I shared a few more in here earlier in the week. So this one here is by Jill, just here, who's made the hoop. And there are details if in case anybody wants to make the hoop. I've actually included that in the workbook in terms of how many bits in what size you would need to cut for these parts up here as well. I'm just going to quickly show you this one as well. So this is by Joanna, and she also decided to draft out her own word using that bonus class in the Quilt Hive. And the other bonus actually she's used here is the block from the tumbling spools pattern, which is actually over my shoulder, and I can show you that once I've stopped sharing the screen if you want. But so she's done that, which just looks great. And then this was the beginning part of Julie's, which we just saw that she's already done that. This is another one by Jo, a different Jo, and she's been busy creating one that says create, which is great. So yes, some inspiration for you there. So be brave and do share that. Okay, I am just going to stop the share and come back.
It's worth mentioning as well, Jo, that Julie actually was on our course last year that we ran for free for the weekend, and then joined up afterwards. And she's left a comment saying, I joined Quilt Hive last year after Jo's free intro course. I've learned so much. I work full time. So great to be able to go in when I have the time.
That's great. That's brilliant. Yeah, thanks for that, Tracy. No, that's good. And I just mentioned that Facebook group, and I was looking in there today because there was a welcome thread that you may have just seen when I was scrolling through. We've actually got over 1,000 quilters joining in with this class, which has completely blown me away. And they are from all over the world. I was looking at all the different countries. We've got people from here in the UK, the USA, Canada, Brazil, Mexico, Germany, Cambodia, New Zealand, France, Switzerland, and Spain. And I think I saw some others going through on this list earlier that for the comments are coming through. So amazing to see that you know there's quilters from all over the world joining in. There's also a complete spectrum of abilities from quilters that I spotted in that thread, where they were saying either they did free motion quilt already, or perhaps they'd never tried, or they might have just taken their first class. So don't worry if you've never tried before, whichever end of the spectrum you find yourself on. We only get good at something if we give it a go, right? And we keep giving it a go, and we keep trying, even if our first try is not as nice as we wanted it to be or we thought it was going to be. So if you are brand new to this, do not worry. I have included an extra little download, which you will be able to print off. And I've called it Jo's Quick Guide to Free Motion Quilting for the Uninitiated. So if you are brand new to free motion, download that guide and print it off, and just take your stitching a little bit slowly compared to other people who might have already done this before, and don't compare yourself to your first try to their umpteenth try. Okay, just compare yourself to yourself. Okay, so we do have a couple of questions that have already come in that I want to make sure that I'm going to cover. So I'm going to go through those, and then once I've kind of gone through all of those, Tracy hopefully will let me know if any other questions have come in. Okay. So the question that came in was from a Bernina sewing machine owner, and it said, would you recommend getting the walking foot? I have got the Bernina 770 and I have a BSR. Okay, so firstly, that question is talking about two different things. Okay, so a walking foot and the BSR are completely different things. The BSR is the Bernina stitch regulator, which looks like this. Okay, now you may have seen in the welcome video and also in the key information document that I talk about regular darning feet. Okay, so these are what normal darning feet will look like, in free motion embroidery or free motion quilting feet will look like, and this is what a BSR looks like. So anybody out there that's got Bernina machines, you may well have one of these, and if you do, you can absolutely use it when we come to doing the pebbles part, and that will be absolutely fine, instead of using one that looks like this. Okay, So that is totally fine. If you don't have a BSR, please don't worry about it. It's just a fancy bit of kit that determines your stitch length for you, but it will only work with certain Bernina sewing machines. It also costs a huge amount of money, and it comes in a box that looks like this. The reason it comes in a box that looks like this is because it's really, really expensive. And I didn't realize how expensive it was until I dropped mine about 3 times. Yeah, and it's £750. In fact, it was £750 a long time ago. I don't know how much it costs now, but it's a lot of money. So please don't drop it if you own one. Okay, so that is the BSR. But actually, what I think she was referring to, she was asking about the walking foot. Now, with Bernina machines and with also some FAF machines, you will have what's called a dual feed on some of those machines. So it's an integrated dual feed, and it kind of acts in a similar way to a walking foot, but it's not the same. Okay, so on a walking foot, and I show you this in a lot more detail in the pre-recorded videos, we've got these extra pair of feed dogs on the underneath. Okay, and you can see 2, right? And they're wide apart and they're quite long. On the integrated dual feed, you've just got 1, and it's quite small, all right? And so it doesn't make as good contact with the fabric sandwich as a walking foot does. And so I would always recommend a walking foot over a dual feed for when you're quilting. However, that said, we are working on a very small piece, you know, a tiny thing, all right? So you haven't got the weight of a big quilt. Now, as soon as you get the weight involved there, really, you know, you're going to want a walking foot. For the purpose of this class, you could probably get away with a dual feed, but certainly moving on and doing any kind of line quilting on your quilts, I would recommend getting a walking foot. Now, Tracy has got a link that she can put in to a video from Bernina, which kind of explains that in a lot more detail. If you're interested, so if you're a Bernina owner and you're interested in the difference between your dual feed and your walking foot and whether you should invest in a walking foot, because they're also quite expensive, then check out that video and make up your own mind. But that was just my opinion. Now, I mentioned FAF because some FAF machines also have a built-in dual feed. When I have looked, excuse me, when I have looked on the FAF website, they don't, I'm pretty sure they don't even have a walking foot available. They rely on their dual feed. And they believe that their IDT is superior to the walking foot. So I think that's just something you'd have to obviously investigate if you are a FAF owner. If you've only got the ability to have your dual feed and they don't have a walking foot, then obviously you're going to have to use that. And like I say, for this purpose, it's probably going to be fine because you haven't got that weight attached to it that a normal quilt would have. So it's not really pulling down on it. So it should be fine. Okay, the next question that came up was, is this class suitable for someone who has never done free motion quilting before? Okay, so I've said to you just a minute ago, don't worry, you're going to be fine, and you will be. But what this class is not is a comprehensive beginners free motion quilting course. Okay, I teach that skill over a period of 4 weeks, normally when I'm teaching this, so we have a lot more time to go through things and to practice. All right, so you haven't got that with this particular class, but I have explained everything as if I'm talking to somebody who has never done it before. Okay, so I've deliberately chosen, so the other thing is I've deliberately chosen this Pebbles design because the way that we are using it as a filler is really quite forgiving. It won't matter if your, pebbles or your shapes aren't perfect circles. They're not meant to be. They're pebbles. All pebbles are different sizes and shapes. We're going to be traveling along our line of stitching, and normally if you are traveling on a different design and for a different purpose, you might want to make that traveling where you stitch on top of a line you've already stitched perfect on there. For this one, doesn't matter. All right, actually it's actually better if they're not directly on there because you're going to get a denser fill. All right, so I've specifically done that deliberately to make it easier for you. That said, if you are a complete beginner, I would recommend grabbing out some scraps, some sandwich scraps, quilt sandwich scraps, and practicing on that with the Pebbles design before you try and put it inside the outline of your word, because you want to be able to control that before you actually start trying to put it into that small space. Okay, so that's just an extra thing to say. Okay, yeah, in addition to that, it's worth saying, that I will be running the beginner course at some point. So I think actually Tracy might have a link for that. I'm not sure if I gave her a specific link for that, but hopefully she'll pop that in. It won't be running within the next couple of months. It is a way off yet, because I think we just ran it in early part of this year from memory. But if you can't wait that long, then there is a shorter class within the Quilt Hive membership that is suitable for beginners. So there you go, another reason to join Quilt Hive. Okay. The third question that I've had was, can you switch on Spanish subtitles? Now, I've touched on this earlier. Look, I'm afraid the platform I use, it's not as simple as just switching on or activating a different language for subtitles, unfortunately. I wish it was. I would have to employ a service to do the translation and the subtitles into multiple languages, which, as I said, is just kind of cost prohibitive for me for this. So as such, all the subtitles are only in English, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Okay. Do we have any other questions, Tracy?
Yes, we do have some more
Brilliant.
questions. So we've got a
questions.
question of Marilyn, who is having printer problems. And
Okay.
she said, can you suggest another way for her to trace the template? And I was thinking if she had a iPad or something, she could trace the word off of the iPad, couldn't she?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've done that before, actually, even on a vertical screen, if I've needed to trace something. So yeah, absolutely. Just make sure that when you're looking at it on the screen, you've got it at 100%. And so you just kind of want to get, or it doesn't have to be at 100% for this particular one, to be honest. I mean, I say that as a matter of course, because when we're working with templates, we really want to print 100% because then we know that it's the right size that the designer has intended. But for this particular one, it doesn't really matter if it comes out bigger. I wouldn't really do it smaller because you're going to struggle to get your pebbles inside there. But it wouldn't matter if you enlarged it and did it bigger. That would be fine as well. It just wouldn't work with any of the sizings that I've given you in terms of if you're doing the hoop. But if you're doing it for another purpose, it really doesn't matter if it's bigger. So yes, I would potentially be tracing that off the screen directly if I didn't have a printer. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the other question that's come through is the access time finishing, which we were talking about before.
Yes.
So don't know if you want to
so
just
Tracy and I were talking
that.
about this actually the other day as well. I managed to do this again this year, and I was intending not to do this, but I said in the initial sales page and everything you'd have access to it until Monday, but I didn't say what time. And obviously everybody on different time zones that are watching. So actually I'm going to take it down on Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock UK time, which means that people in the States will have access to it all of Monday as well. Everyone will have access to it for the same amount of time, obviously, so because it's gone live at 7 tonight and it's been taken down at 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Now, let me have some water. Oh dear, getting ever so dry with all this talking. Now, yeah, so that said, it's going down at Tuesday at 9. If you want access to it beyond that, obviously you can join the Quilt Hive because it's already in there with those extra bonuses that I mentioned. The extra bonuses, just in case you've missed all of that information, are extra done for you quilted words. So in the free class, the word is so that's the one we've got access to in the free class. I think there are like 8 to 10 other 8 to 10 other word templates that I have done in the Quilt Hive bonus class for them. There's also the pattern for the tumbling spools quilt, so you get all those different blocks over there. So I think there's 7 or 8 different blocks available in that pattern, plus obviously all the words that are on that pattern and all the dimensions obviously for the fabric cutting, etc. I've also popped in there the video lessons on how to make your own word template. And so as you saw in the Facebook group, some of the members are already using those to make their own word templates, which has been really lovely to see. Okay, any other questions, Tracy? You're on mute.
Not on the minute. No, I wasn't quick enough. No, there's no other questions at the moment. Everyone's obviously taking it all in. So if there are any questions, guys.
Yeah, if there's any questions, please do ask them, because I've definitely come to the end of what I had 4 pages worth of notes to share with everybody. I've gone through all of those already, which is great.
There was something funny that did happen that I didn't want to interrupt you about.
I was watching you. I could see you laughing, actually, Tracy. What were you chuckling
at? It's so funny. Alison has put, as a Janome user, I'm enjoying the live subtitles calling the banana a banana. It was really making me chuckle, but I didn't want to interrupt until like we had a minute, but that was very good. And then I was sat here trying to watch the subtitles to catch it out the corner of my eye, but I didn't see it.
Oh, that is funny. Yeah, but on the live subtitles can sometimes throw up some hilarious things, especially with my accent. You know, yeah, it picks up some shockers. I've got somebody doing my subtitles for me now, and yeah, she's been sending me some funny messages of what comes up. So yeah, we've been having some chuckles. Couple of things we didn't talk about actually, which I might just quickly cover before we sign off, and obviously just whilst we wait to see if any other questions are coming up. The materials list is it was in the key information document that was available before the class, and it's also obviously in the workbook as well. And I go through all of those bits and pieces in the videos, so you'll be able to see them close up and everything. But we always get questions on what markers I recommend. So I'm just going to ask Tracy, if I haven't asked her this already, so she might have to scurry off and find this, but the Amazon storefront link, Tracy, if you could pop that in, people will be able to look at these on there. You will probably be able to buy these from your local quilt store, and I would encourage you to do that to support local shops, because they obviously need it. I know of more quilt shops that are closing, and obviously we want to keep them open, so every little purchase helps. I love this for chalk. Okay, so this is my chalk pencil, and I'll be sharing you this in the videos. And the reason I like it is because it's a retractable one. Okay, and it has an eraser on the end just there. The reason that I like this one is really fine. Okay, it's got a really fine tip. Now, this is great if you're working with dark fabrics. Okay, so I can't remember if I demoed with the dark fabric. I don't think I did. But if you're working with dark fabrics, then using the chalk is obviously the way to go. If you are using pale fabric, then I like this one. And again, the reason I like it is because it's really fine. That tip is really fine. This is a Prim trick marker. It's a disappearing ink pen. It will disappear with time, but it will also disappear with water. If you want to speed it up, you can do by popping a little bit of water on there. I'm also holding a Frixion pen, which I do not recommend for any projects where you are putting the pen on the front of a project. Okay, so the top layer, the front side of the fabric, however you want to refer to it as. It's very unlikely you would see me using this on a project unless I need it to stay there longer for the camera. All right, and if I need to make it really dark for the camera, I might occasionally use it. It's only for demonstration purposes. On a real item, I would never use it. And the reason is they come back, all right? And sometimes they don't even go away properly. So I don't trust them on the front of a project. They are great for using in other areas of sewing where you're working on the back of your fabric and where it isn't so important if a little bit of residue is left behind, you know, or it stays there. But certainly for anything on the front, which is our purposes for this project, I would not be putting those on the front. Okay, so that's one thing I wanted to mention. The other thing that I want to mention is a couple of other products that I refer to and demonstrate using. I demonstrate, by the way, 3 different methods of getting your template onto your outline, if you like, onto your fabric. And so it will really depend what you have available to you at home as to which method you use. Okay, so there are 3 methods. One involves a light box or the window, and the other 2 involve freezer paper, which could be this type, or the sheets of freezer paper. And then tearaway stabilizer is another option. Probably my least preferred option, but it is another option. And so I think I have all of those things in the Amazon storefront if you need to look at them as well. By all means, buy them from there if you do buy from Amazon. But I just like to try to encourage people to buy from their local quilt shops to try and keep them open because we all need that help. Quilting gloves. I think if you're all quilters, you've probably already got quilting gloves, but they are really helpful, more so on bigger projects, but I do tend to wear them even on when I'm working with smaller projects like this as well. And thread. The better quality thread you use, the better experience you will have. In the videos, I believe you see me using Aurifil, a 12 weight and a 50 weight. I think I also demonstrate using turquoise ones in a 12 and a 50 weight. Plenty of other lovely brands out there. Wonderfil is a great brand. Sulky is another brand that I love to use as well, particularly for their rayon threads. You absolutely could use rayon for this project if you wanted to. In fact, this one is done all with rayon. Rayon is a much weaker thread than cotton or polyester. So if you're brand new to this and you haven't free motion quilted before, then I wouldn't recommend starting with a rayon. But if you are competent in free motion quilting, there's nothing stopping you from using this. It will produce a lovely result and it will stand out a lot more than cotton would do. Okay. Do we have any other questions now, or will we
one more quick question, Jo, from Connie. She said, how do we get the workbook? I know we covered it, but I think maybe she might have missed it. So could you hold it up again and just explain?
Yep, I'm just going to pop in. I'll just share the screen again and show you where that is. That's no problem at all. Okay, so once you've logged in to the website there, you would go to the My Courses area just here and then scroll down until you see the pink Quilted Words box. You should only have one if you're brand new to the website. And then if you scroll down, you're interested in this section. So the How to Sew Quilted Words preparation. This is where you're going to start, having kind of completed that welcome section up the top there. You'll see a video to start with just here. And then the next one down just says Quilt Words Workbook, Quilted Words Workbook. And so you'll just click on the resume or the start button for that. And then it's going to come up just here. You've got the download. You would just click on that. It would open it and then you could save it to your computer somewhere appropriate. And you can view it just by scrolling down. If you click on this one, you're not going to be able to print this one. You have to download it by clicking on this download link just here and saving it to your computer. Okay, hopefully that was helpful.
That should also help Marilyn, whose printer isn't working. That's the way she'd be able to access the letter, by scrolling down like that.
She could either scroll down like that to the one that's down there, or she could still download it to her computer, and then she's probably got more control over sizing it actually if it's in her computer, because she'd open it with a PDF reader and then be able to resize it. Yeah,
good point.
Okay, any other questions, Tracy?
No, but Connie says thank you.
Oh, perfect. All right, lovely. Okay, well, I'm going to call it a day then for tonight. What I would love for you all to do is to now go and log in to the portal and get started watching those videos. And if you have issues with logging in, email me. I will be working for the next hour or so because I'm going to be downloading this recording and getting it ready to load up. So I will be in the office. You can email me and let me know what issues you're having, and I will help you get in if you've got any issues. But hopefully it's not going to be an issue and everyone will get in just fine. As I've said, do ask questions. That's what the question boxes are there for. So ask any questions you think of as you're watching the video. If it doesn't make sense to you, just ask the question. Do check, to see if that question's already been asked, and then you can get the answer from there before asking it again. Other than that, have fun this weekend, looking at the videos and hopefully making some items, some quilted word items. Please do share them. I'm really excited to see the shares coming into the Facebook group. We will be getting back together again on Sunday evening here on YouTube, and that's when I'm going to be announcing the winners to those prizes. So do make sure to come back to find out if you are a winner. And also I will go through all of those questions that have been asked during the weekend. So if questions have come in, I'm going to go through those, because chances are other people might have that same question, and we'll cover that off so that everybody gets those answers. Okay, I will say goodbye for now, and hopefully I'll see you on Sunday, but have fun. Bye bye.